In general, I think the UAE has really pushed from a government level the whole digitalization process for the industry.
To what degree do you see from a port perspective that you are able to build more resilience through the use of new technology rather than building more physical assets?
In general, I think the UAE has really pushed from a government level the whole digitalization process for the industry, and they want to do more. And every day I can assure you we get pressure from the government to say we have to do more, we have to digitize more, we have to show more that we are technologically much more advanced than anywhere else. So I do think that we have, as a country, as a nation, we have a real chance here to be the front runner on many of these developments that is happening, right? And I think everything can be digitized. We have one of our terminals in Khalifa Port is actually one of the largest semi-automated terminals worldwide, and that becomes basically an experiment even for, let's say, for other kinds of industries coming in and paying a visit to see, so how is this really being done? And it's not so only because we have had actually the same beneficial situation as in Digitalisation, in the sense that people could work from their home. So you can sit at home and you can drive, let's say, the yard cranes and make everything happen. You don't disrupt the services. You can deliver the same productivity. You can deliver the containers out the gate, and there's no interruption whatsoever. But it's also a choice you make ultimately. So one thing is that you protect yourself during pandemics and critical situations that we're within right now. But it's also about, how far do you want to go with technology? I don't think it's in isolation that you talk about ports being, digitized and everything has to be automated, because you have very, very few ports worldwide who have succeeded in full automation. And what is success? Success is that you have great productivity and you can have the lowest costs for operating and making sure that you have a sustainable, let's say, platform to work within. And it's still in trial basis. So the very, very large ports, either in Rotterdam or in China and some of the other places where full automation is still being tested, you still don't have the productivity. You still don't have, all the solutions in place. So it will take time. It is really hard to push in, the best kind of technology. But I think Daimler was talking about this in the last panel as well. The technology is there. Even you have people who can execute it. You have even, staff who has been trained to run with the services. But to some extent, it also has to make sense with the rest of the trade. You can't do it in isolation. You cannot be an island in the sea, right? You have to work together as an industry on how you actually make the efficiency for it. And who's then willing to pay, ultimately, right? And we all know the answer is typically that our customers are not willing to pay more. Now they've been forced to pay more because it's a bottleneck. And hey, if you don't pay $20,000 per container, forget it. You won't even have your box moving out. But I think we have to serve all clients. So in our case, we are not just prioritizing the largest clients. We have to serve everybody. The shipping lines, to a large extent, they have the benefit that they now can say, well, if you want to be on board, you got to pay whatever price it is. And typically with the very big shippers, maybe the price would be a little less, but the small shippers who has no negotiation power, they're going to pay through the roof. Does it then mean that we are now cutting away all these small, medium-sized enterprises because they can no longer afford to be in business? I mean, that is a critical path I think any nation will have to take a look at, how to protect and how to preserve. And I think the shipping line will even have to have a bit of a conscious on how to still run business, because it has to be long-term. But at the end of the day, we are all in the same business. We are all in scale. I think I will refer both to the ports and shipping lines. We have been extremely slow when it comes to technological advancements. And, the cranes look pretty much the same. They got bigger, they got better. But at the end of the day, it still looks the same. We're still moving the same, steel boxes, right? And the vessels are, also getting better and better, but at least it's an incremental improvement and things are just sizing up. And we are putting more cranes on each vessel to reach higher productivities and whatever. But have we really reached the stage where we can say, now we're really gonna blow everybody out? I think, it will come sooner or later. And I actually think, let's say, in this particular region, we have a real chance of making a headway compared to even large ports in China and other places as well, because you have a government that is so willing to support us in the digital transformation. So no longer will it be connection points and digital interaction on documents with customs or any government facility. No, I mean, even the government is very, very willing to make sure that can be facilitated at much larger speed. And now that we are building a much bigger infrastructure, I mean, you have an incredible infrastructure in the UAE already, right? And it's built for, the long run. So we have already roads and, infrastructure systems. We are opening rail connectivity in 2023. I mean, there's going to be a lot of new opportunities that we can open up for the UAE. And we are going to be way ahead of many of our neighboring nations, right? And we actually have a chance to be on the forefront of all of that because we can work together and make sure that we retain such a leading position as UAE. And I think this is actually a chance that we have. And hopefully it will create the spillover for everybody else also to see, whoa, I mean, if all these interconnectivity and fast transaction, even maybe serving other nations via our ports, that actually can take place at a low cost, at a competitive cost level, then we are in a very, very great situation where somebody else can copycat it. But as we look at it today, and if you look at port, the whole society around ports today, it is that you have many, many islands. So many terminals in India or maybe in Europe or whatever, they do not work together. So it's one by one by one. At least here, we have the government who will support our initiatives, right? And maybe each country will also have to take a look at how they facilitate trade in European countries, in the US and other places as well, to facilitate that technology can be pushed in more effectively. We cannot avoid that there will be ports in Africa that are still going to be way behind the curve, and there will be ports other places as well in the same situation. But at least we can make the headways, and I think we have to show examples of how we can make things happen and how we can, use, let's say, AI and digital platforms to facilitate trade better for us. But it's not only depending on us, of course. But I think, let's say, at least we have given evidence, I think both in Abu Dhabi and in Dubai as well, that we are willing to take, let's say, technology to a much higher level, to a very different level than you see other ports around the world. And I would also argue that we are even over-investing into this technology platform to prove a point. And I think this is also supported a lot by our owners that we can do this. Obviously, you have to provide a return, but they're willing to look at also as a long-term perspective that as long as you're doing the right thing and you're showing the progress, it could be either productivity or other savings, but the benefits can be passed on to society at large, whether it's landside or waterside customers. This is what we're looking for. And I think hopefully it can serve as a good example.